Buenas tardes, Nogalenses. We are here with Michelle and Frank from Frank Bejarano, DBH from Mariposa and everything else he does. Michelle from Southern Arizona Autism Association. SAW. And it's going to be a great show. I'm really excited about this. It's Autism Awareness Month. We've got a lot to talk about. You guys have a whole lot going on.
We do.
Frank, you always have a lot going on. And we're going to talk about autism. We're going to talk about neurodiversity, all kinds of really, really cool stuff. I just realized now looking at myself that I'm not wearing my jacket. This is the first episode I'm not wearing my jacket. But before we get started, we're going to do some real quick news updates. All right. Okay. First off, I want to apologize to everyone that we didn't have a show last week. I was doing a live storytelling. Speaking of neurodiversity, I was actually doing a live storytelling event where I was talking about how extra I have to be to treat my ADD symptoms, my ADHD symptoms, to the point where my son and I actually even built a box fort cubicle for me to block things off. And I got the idea from my third grade teacher because I had such a hard time focusing and paying attention that she actually built this cardboard walls at my desk and made me sit in the corner so that I could actually focus on my work. And I wasn't being loud or loudy, but I was looking around everywhere, you know? And so that's where I got the idea from. And it worked. I've almost finished editing my newest novel, which I've talked to you about before. I've almost finished editing it because I have that box fort cubicle.
I have to use it one similar.
Yeah, really?
For me to focus.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I do, and I talked about this, is I used to be a smoker, a heavy smoker, and I quit for my wife. And I don't have the desire to smoke, but the actual sensory, the movement, and I don't know if it's an oral fixation like they say, but just the actual sensory thing. I used to use a straw. And my wife didn't like that, so she actually bought me candy cigarettes. And so I used candy.
Oh, that's a good idea, right? Candy cigarettes for the kids, right?
I know. But I use them, and it actually works. Actually, we just got a comment. You're welcome, Veneranda. She's the actual one who invited me. Another Nogalense who she's a very, very good storyteller. Veneranda Jade. I don't know if you guys have heard of her. No. And she just said thank you for mentioning Odyssey, and thank you guys for inviting me. It was a lot of fun. Probably the biggest thing in the news and something that people are waiting for is you guys are aware, Mike Pence, the vice president, was in town today, where he made the claim, he called on Congress to reform immigration and claimed that Border Patrol on Tuesday alone apprehended 43,000 immigrants. He claimed it's a record number, but I mean, that feels a little low for a record number. I'm sure that there's been days that they've apprehended more. But that's probably the biggest piece of news that we've got. Vice President was in town, this is my biggest problem with it though, is he didn't consult. He didn't stop by to talk to any local officials. He went to the Border Patrol station. He walked the border. They had a press conference at Davis Monthan. But he didn't talk to local officials. He didn't talk to anybody about what's actually going on in Nogales. He only cared about what's going on the border, right there at the border, not the communities that are actually right up against the border. And immigration is a tough issue to talk about. And my issue isn't necessarily the immigration. It's the lack of awareness for border communities. Yeah. All right. So another big thing, and this one's actually pretty sad. The old Walter Home warehouse?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, downtown is going to be demolished.
That is sad.
That is sad. It's been around for over a century almost a century. And the Walter Home Company, they owned it between the 1940s and the 1980s, so 4 decades of service to the produce industry. And AAA Brokerage had it for a little while. And it's been, for about 20 years, I think it's been abandoned. Right. Yeah, and so...
There was a lot of things. I thought it was a roller skating rink at one time.
I don't know, was it?
Yeah, that's what I heard from someone. Yeah,
maybe
that right?
Between the 80s and the 90s, something like that.
And
before my time.
A&W root beer stand right across the street from there.
There was, really? No way. Yeah. Wow. Well, but there it is. It is sad.
I'm showing my age, right? So.
But you're showing your wisdom, Frank. Your wisdom. And then another thing is the sewage that we've got. You guys know about the sewage problem, the sewage leak coming in from Mexico. The Mexican government apparently has a temporary fix for it. But it's still that same battle that's been going on with that whole line, whether it's the city's responsibility, the county's responsibility, the state's responsibility, Mexico's responsibility. Nobody wants to take responsibility for it. We even had that sewage leak, what was it, 2 years ago? that really, really bad one that cost thousands of dollars to fix because they had to dig everything up. They had to replace. So, I mean, it's a temporary fix. I don't know what's going to go on with it for after that, but we'll see, huh? All right. We're going to take a break pretty quick. I just want to remind people that tomorrow, right here at the old Foxworth building, the Nogales Community Development Building downtown, the Nogales Mercado will be between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. The Friday night ride for Cero Estrés will also be tomorrow. From what time? ¿A qué hora empiezan, Edgardo? What time does the Friday night ride start?
The Friday night ride, 6:30.
6:30, and you guys meet here, right? Yep. So the Friday night ride for Cero Estrés, open to the public. You guys own a bike?
Oh, yes.
You do? You guys should join. I have a bike. I've just never done it.
My son has a bike
Your son
and he'll
has a
love
bike?
it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So Friday nights, do you guys know about the Friday night ride? Mm-hmm. Okay, so Friday nights, open to the public. Anybody can come down, ride their bike with Cero Estrés. It's a really easy ride. I mean, I haven't done it, so I don't know for sure. Not from experience. But I have been telling Edgardo for months that I'm going to do it, and I haven't. Even, you know what? One time, it was me, Mergarino, and Efrain from the community food bank. We'd all made an agreement that we were going to show up on Friday night to do it. None of us showed up. So that's tomorrow. On Sunday, if you guys know how to build a trail?
That would be interesting.
Yeah, well, down right there in Monte Carlo, in the ¿cómo se llama el área?
Monte Carlo, al final de la calle Sonora.
Yeah, right at the end of Calle Sonora. They're building this trail for mountain biking, and it's going to be a 1 kilometer trail to start off with, and then eventually they're going to build in something else. And this Sunday, they're having basically it's a clinic to learn how to build a trail and free labor. You know, yeah, that we provide. I will be there.
Right.
I will be there though. I'll be there building trails and doing some video and showing people what it's all about.
And what time does that start?
What time does that start, Ricardo?
8
in the morning, right? 8 in the morning. You gonna be there?
I'll try.
You'll try? You'll
See
try.
if I can make it.
All right.
Tools there. We're gonna have
Yeah, you don't have to bring your own tools.
Gloves.
gloves.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
All the equipment will be provided. Yeah.
We just asking for glasses, a hat, and no sleeves shirt.
All right. Awesome. So that's Sunday, April 14th, 8 a.m. And Frank will be there. So we'll be there to show you how to build trails and learn how to build trails, and hope to see you there. We're gonna take a quick break real quick, and then we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Cropper's Nogales Auto Center, your local dealer of Chevy, Buick, and GMC. The best place to find the newest, award-winning Chevy, Buick, and GMC models. But there's more. Cropper's also provides professional certified service, parts, and a full-service body shop and collision center. Come on over and see for yourself everything Cropper's has to offer. Located at 1831 North Grand Avenue, Nogales, Arizona. www.croppercare.com, 520-762-6446. Ya regresamos. We're back, and we're here to really, really get into what this is about. Let me just finish doing that. There we go. Sorry, just sharing the video so we get as many people. So first, I want to say thank you for our shirts. So you can't see, it says "Okay to be different." I believe we have some pictures that actually have this T-shirt too.
We do.
Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it, and all the pictures that you sent. I mean, it flooded my inbox, but just kidding. No, it was great.
You said bring it all.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
So let's get right into it. We're in the 6th annual World Autism Awareness Month, right?
Correct.
And this was your 6th annual celebration,
Yes.
that you guys just had on Saturday with our friends from Wild and Free Ranch who were on with Santos last week.
Yeah.
And a little shout out to Santos and Wild and Free. Yeah, definitely. And it was a really good event. Frank told me that it was a lot of fun, had a lot of animals.
There was a lot of people there, and they had a lot of good things going on. The animals were a great attraction. The kids were really involved with it. It was amazing. I had to go over to see the camel, you know.
Oh, of course.
It was impressive.
Here's my next question. Did the camel bite anybody?
No.
No? Did it spit?
No.
They don't
They
spit?
only spit at someone they're not too fond of.
Really?
Yeah.
And they didn't spit at Frank?
No.
No, that's why I stayed away from the llamas.
Were the llamas as soft as they look?
I didn't.
They're very
Oh,
soft.
they're very
They
soft?
have 4 alpacas.
They have 4 alpacas? That's cool. That's cool.
They're very
cool. Frank would have skinned it. That's kidding. Just
Careful,
kidding.
Wild and
Just
Free.
kidding. Yeah.
Don't let me near.
Yeah. Just kidding. So it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. We had a lot
Very,
of
very
people join up with us from Nogales, Sonora here, Sahuarita area, and it was good. It was a lot of people coming and going, very calm, very family event. And
Very, very cool. Well, tell me what the event was about. I mean, obviously autism awareness, but
Sure. This event is hosted every year to help connect families to the proper services and programs that are available to them in the community. So it's kind of like we put all the professionals in one area so that the families can ask questions, talk about, anything that they're needing to talk about, meet other families in the same journeys and get some guidance from us.
okay, very, very cool.
It was amazing because even some of the vendors that were there, they didn't know about the various programs that are available, like the Wild and Free Ranch. I haven't been out there. I've been invited several times. I want to make it out there, but they don't know about the services and who can go out there and that it's free. And that's fantastic. Somebody donating that much time and effort to the community is wonderful.
Yeah, it is awesome. That is awesome. I've known Hector for quite a few years, and
that's a
pretty
sad
cool.
thing too, Joe, because there are a lot of good programs that are free and people are just not taking advantage of.
Yeah.
Like the free ride that we're going to do on Friday, Sunday doing the trail, all those help the community. And the more people we get out there, of course, the better it's going to be for all of us.
There's so many great things happening in the community, and people just don't know about them, which we're trying to do right here.
You're doing a good job, Joe.
Thank you very much. And Edgardo, don't forget Edgardo,
Edgardo,
and
the
his
whole
beard,
team.
and his beard. I'm so jealous of that beard. I had to trim mine because mine doesn't grow down like his does. Mine grows out, so it looks really bushy and ugly. Yeah, well, you saw me just like a Sasquatch, exactly, like the Sasquatch of Karen Park, exactly. Jinx. No, just kidding. Like you saw me just the other day with my beard. You know how bad it was getting. I had to trim. It was bad. So another thing that you guys have going on, I mean, we're going to talk about your organization, but first we're going to talk about what you have going on. And Frank was one of the recipients of this award, which is the Radiating Blue, which is awarding those who care, right?
It's those that work with the autism community, those that care, those that offer, lending hand, and service providers, community members, community leaders also are recipients of this award. And
Very cool.
So we had a lot of positive feedback with it, and I'm happy and I'm thankful for their services.
Very, very cool. Awesome. So what kind of things have people done? I mean, can you mention names? I mean, we have pictures of them, so you might as well.
Well, some of them work with them as special education teachers.
Okay.
A lot of them also fight for inclusion, advocacy. That's huge for them.
It is very important.
People with
Advocacy is very important.
disabilities, and so that's one of the main topics that we touch base on a lot is inclusion, advocacy, and then of course independence.
Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Now, Frank.
And also the medical aspect. We have providers that are part of our group here that really, really do as much as they possibly can in getting the children diagnosed with the proper agencies so that they can get the benefits. And that's one of the hardest things. There's such a long wait to get somebody diagnosed with autism, and it has to be a certain specialist. And by the time that happens, it could be a year wait before you can even get seen.
Okay.
So we're always rush. It's always, it's against the clock because kids time out. And by that time, it's a year. By the time they see a developmental specialist, and sometimes they'll time out. So we always rush in the process.
And for somebody with autism or other neurodiversities, I mean, a year is a long time.
It is.
When you're trying to get help.
It is. So
Absolutely.
that's what we do is we help them navigate, and also we help them figure out certain supports in the meantime while they wait.
Very, very cool. That's awesome. And that's what you guys do as a whole. So let's jump right into your organization right now.
We do that as a whole. We help them navigate the system. We
Okay.
do a lot of, IEP 504 workshops. We do parent education and trainings at no cost to the communities. And we also do professional trainings as well at no cost.
Now, when do you do these trainings? Are they regular? Or are they?
They're about once every other month. Come
Okay.
the school year, it'll be every 2 weeks.
Okay. And I know you post a lot about these things on social media. So if you're watching right now and you're not a member of a Facebook group, I mean, you post on pretty much all of them. Yeah, which is good. That's good, because that's one thing I really love. We were just talking about this right now. These Facebook groups that have been coming up over the last couple of years have really, really allowed communities to come together. One of my favorites, this is off subject, but and we'll talk about my ADHD again right now, is the pets, the lost pets. Have you guys been?
I've seen it. The Eureka lost pets, lost and found.
A lot of pets have been found because of that. That's really, really cool. And a lot of organizations have been discovered or been discoverable because of these types of groups.
Oh yeah, it's an amazing thing what you can do with technology now.
Oh yeah,
technology
for sure.
nowadays.
Like what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
When did your group start? When did all of this get rolling?
The creation has been about 3 years now.
From our group, yes.
Yeah,
From
about
your
3-4 years now.
Okay.
The autism community here has grown, and it's been here about 5-6 years now.
Well, yeah, you've got Angel's Purse. You've got,
Yeah.
I mean the Hill
Love
family.
Jenny.
Yeah, the Hill family. They're really, really cool. Everything they do. Wally is an incredible artist.
He is.
And he's one of a great example of what someone with autism can accomplish.
Oh yeah, they're great artists, musicians.
Absolutely.
You just have to keep pushing them. Keep pushing them to success.
Yeah, and that encouragement and reinforcement is really important. And what made you guys decide to start this group?
A lot of families here are unaware of the services and the programs, and we want to be able to offer our support and help and guidance in that process because it's very isolating. A lot of times the special needs community is far too forgotten in our small community here, so that's something that we want to shed light on, as well as we are here and you're not alone. I'm a mom with a son on the spectrum, and I know how tough it is, and we know, the doctors know, and we all are here to support each other and help ensure that we can provide growth and opportunities and better quality of life for them.
Very, very cool. Awesome.
One of the things that we tried to do at the very onset.
You just took it from me.
I just took it. ADHD. There we go again.
There you go. Yep, there it is.
One of the things that the organization was trying to do is to become a hub. Go to our agency, and we'll provide you with the information of other agencies that provide the services. Because a lot of people get confused, or they're lost, or they don't know what's available, and so they miss out on a lot of things. And there's a lot of time wasted. We have Dr. Tanya Henry from Mariposa Community Health Center. She's a great advocate,
she was one of the recipients
to
of
get
the award, right?
to get the kids in to be seen. So that's the important aspect, and by bringing other specialists down here to do trainings for the parents, very important, because it's difficult. Just being a parent is difficult. Not knowing how to handle a child is difficult. Then you have a child with special needs, and a lot of parents have a tendency to believe, is it me? Am I the bad parent? Did I cause this? Did I cause a lot of things? I think later on we're going to talk about neurodiversity and how that impacts. And so it's educating, and that's what we try to do as much as possible.
For sure. Very, very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for what you do.
Thank you.
Very cool.
But it's a work of love. Okay, we don't do it because we're making big bucks on it. We volunteer our time. Yeah. So we do it because we want to help the community, and that's my belief. That's what I've been working with ever since I came back down to Nogales. Work that, give back to the community and see what we can do.
Now, one of the things that I do want to get into right now while we're talking about the organization is, like Edgardo and I, we just attended the first day of this course about mental health first aid. It was really cool, very informative course. Now there I am hitting stuff. And And we talked about, it's obviously it's not a medical professional course. It's for people to help somebody until they get professional help. Now it's a little bit different for somebody on the spectrum than it is for somebody who's suffering from depression or just an anxiety attack, a little bit more extreme. Now, some of the things one of the cool things that you're going to love this transition, right? One of the cool things that I've read a lot about when it comes to treating symptoms of autism and PTSD even is CBD oil. And have you guys ever had any experience with, THC free or, like nothing that's going to get anybody high, but just something to help? It actually helps with symptoms. It's something I've been doing a lot of reading about over the last year. Have you guys ever had any experience with this?
Well, I've had patients that I run into that were using the normal types of medications, the SSRIs, the anti-anxieties, the benzos, and they weren't working for them. The side effects were a little bit too much for them. They didn't want to be sedated, memory loss issues, whatever, the dysfunctioning of sexual appetite, inability to perform, and so it adds a lot of extras that we don't want. The CBD oils are an alternative. A natural alternative. And so there are people that are trying it more, and when they come back into to see me, they'll say, I stopped using this, I stopped using that, and I'm using this type of oil. We don't prescribe it. People go on their own and they do the research, but it has shown some success. Okay, so and it's legal, so anybody can actually try it, and if they do and they have success on it, that's great. There's a lot of natural remedies that work versus medication.
One of the questions that some people might have actually is there any explain people the difference between CBD oil and actual THC marijuana, things like that.
It doesn't have the effects of getting you high.
Yeah.
That's it. Both of them have the same type of benefits to help with anxiety, depression, sleep. It just depends on what you're looking for.
Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. So if you want to get high, then
if you want to, that's your choice.
Yeah, that's your choice. That's entirely up to you. But the CBD oils, they have the health benefits without the actual euphoric effect, I guess is the best way to put it. Mm-hmm. Very, very cool. I'm going to have to try it.
Right. Well,
both.
It's like with the medical marijuana. A lot of people are confused. I have a medical marijuana card, so I can drive, I can work, I can do a lot of things. But if you're under the influence, it creates
it's still
a lot
the
of
same
havoc,
thing.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So we do. I do privately. I do DUI classes, and we have a lot of people that have been referred simply because of medical marijuana. They have it with them. They're pulled over. Their car smells. They do the sobriety thing, the eye thing, the blood test, and all that, and they come back positive. So it's a DUI.
Of course, absolutely. Yeah. So don't drive high. Basically.
But the same thing with other benzos. Ativan and clonazepam and even the oxycodons.
Absolutely.
Narcotics are narcotics, and they hinder you, so you can get cited for all those.
Of course, absolutely. Very, very cool. So there are undisputable medical benefits, I guess you could say. From experience, you guys can speak from experience.
There's a lot of research on Facebook and a lot of groups.
Yeah,
can look into.
There's articles everywhere.
There's articles everywhere. I'm sure at the local dispensaries, there's a lot of research. Is
that building in Rico still a dispensary? Is it? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think it is either. No. Yeah, it was for a while, but I don't think it is anymore. So sorry, people out there that want to go get some.
There's research out there. Everybody has to individually look up what they want to find out about the CBD oils, and if they're willing to try it. So far, I heard some people say, "Hey, it works fantastic. My pain has gone away. My anxiety has gone away. I'm sleeping a lot better." And I have other people that say, "It doesn't work for me at all." It's like anything. Even if you use marijuana, some people like it and some people hate it.
All right. So CBD oil aside, so there you are. If you want to know more about it, there's lots of research. There's an unlimited wealth of research, really, basically. So then you can find it anywhere online. As a mother of somebody on the spectrum, are there other that you get to calm him down when he's having an episode?
Well, when he's having a meltdown, I wait for that to finish because you don't want to interrupt because
Of
he can go
course.
for longer times. As soon as he calms down, you know, we kind of look at what caused it beforehand and if there's going to be like a consequence for it after, depending on the kind of situation. For sleep, I can't give, because my son has autism and ADHD, so I can't give him melatonin for sleep at night. It's got to be serotonin.
Oh wow. Okay.
So it's always like a trial and error before you figure out
Yeah.
what works, what doesn't. And then what also helps is like the passion flower
Okay.
that to help him calm down. And he loves teas.
Very
Teas
cool.
are good. I know a lot of moms that do the oils, like the Dodera oils.
Yeah,
and
or lavender oil.
Lavender oils and whatnot. So yeah, whatever works.
We actually used to, just because he's a rambunctious kid, we used to put lavender oil on my son's pillow before we would go to bed, just to have him relax before
It
he went to
helps.
bed. Yeah,
It does help.
absolutely.
That eucalyptus is great.
For sure. Definitely. Very, very cool.
Put Robitussin on my pillow.
A shot of whiskey in your bottle. Before we jump into neurodiversity, I want to list you guys some of the things that people have been saying. Isa Robles says, thank you for your support. And good job.
Awesome, girl.
Albert Acuna, who's a very, very good friend of mine, and then father of somebody on the spectrum, he says, good job.
Thank you.
Luz Mariela Robles did the hands up emoji. Karina Cortines says, thank you for doing such a great job. It's been a blessing working with your son in the past. Oh man, it's a long comment. It's not going to let me see the whole thing, but you'll be able to see it. You'll be able to see it. And then Luz Mariela Robles says, thank you for from the Wild and Free Ranch community.
We really bonded. It's an amazing program, and we work together. We
Very,
really
very
do.
cool.
We work together to bring programs and services to all the community.
And Wild and Free, speaking of them really quick, they are really cool. And we mentioned how it's a free program. I've been meaning to get my son out there. Like you said, you've been meaning to go out there. I've been meaning to get my son out there, but my weekends have just been so packed. It's been hard. But I will bring him out there soon. I promise, Hector. Toro, I'll be out there soon.
You could ride your bike out there.
I know, right? Yeah, hey,
And you
it's a
got
good idea.
everything
And I don't live that far. So riding the bike is reasonable even for me. All right, so let's another thing, the picnic that you guys have coming up.
Yeah, at the end of the month on April 29th, I believe, Sunday.
April 29th.
We're going to be having a picnic at Calabasas Park
Okay.
with family event, a potluck. So make sure you take your waters, Powerade, snacks.
All right, cool.
We're going to have Mayor Arturo Garino present a proclamation marking the month of April, Autism Awareness Month. So we're
Okay,
very excited.
awesome. And it's open to the public.
It's open to the public. And
Bring
you
your
can
own
go
food.
hang out. Yep.
BYOF.
Yep.
Okay.
And
What about
BYOB.
BYOB too?
I don't know about that.
Bring your own flask then. Just have it hidden.
It'll be from 10 to 2 or 3.
10 to 2 or 3? Depends on how fun it
Depends
is.
on the heat, though,
yeah.
too.
Oh, yeah.
Location?
Calabasas Park. Yeah.
All right. And let's jump into Frank Bejarano. You've got a lot going on. Nogalense through and through.
Through and through, man.
Veteran. I mean, what else can you say about you, man?
Great ball player.
There you go, there you go.
Handsome, good looking.
Handsome,
whatever.
good looking.
Debonair. Yeah.
Nice shoes.
Nice shoes. My wife dresses me well, so she does a good job with that. So no, I left in 1974. I joined the military and I came back in 96, and it was a good time. I got to travel a lot, but at the same time I got to do a lot of different things. I worked as a criminal investigator. Came to worked as a child abuse investigator in Sandusky, Ohio. Then came to Tucson, and then came to Nogales, then to Sierra Vista, and then back to Tucson. And I was lucky enough to be in the military, and they covered all my expenses for school.
Very cool.
So I was able to get a degree in criminology, a master's in counseling, and now a doctor's in behavioral health through Arizona State University. Woo-hoo.
Oh, puro Sandevo.
Puro Sandevo. So,
Oh no! There is some conflict on the board of SAW.
So, and it worked out pretty good. During my internship, I worked at CBUS, and I guess they did like the work that I was doing, and they asked me to take a position after I did my hours there. And that's what really got me started into community health, learning about the needs of the kids and what was out there and what was not out there. it was very disheartening to see that we didn't have enough services available for the community or enough therapists that were bilingual enough to provide that, and the high level professionals. And so psychiatry is very important, and now everything is telemedicine, and it works well for rural communities. But there's something to be said about being in vivo, having the person in front of you. You see the body language, you can feel the tension, you can feel the heat and all that good stuff from the other person. And I hope that we could get back to that. So we're working with some agencies to come down and provide that kind of service. We do have a lot of mental health agencies. I tell the people that we have more counseling agencies in Santa Cruz County than there are bars, and that's a good thing. I don't see that anywhere else. I've been with Mariposa Community Health Center since 2003. I started as the initial provider. Now there's two of us. Jeffrey Swain is the other counselor. He's in Rio Rico, Arizona. We provide the services. They're free. If you have insurance, we'll bill your insurance, but there's no copay. The service that we provide are on a limited basis because we do what is called integrated behavioral health.
Okay.
But we work with the anxiety, we work with depression, we work with insomnia, stress, behavior problems for kids. We see kids with ADD, ADHD. We talked a lot about parental support, parental education. So we do parenting programs, anger management programs for the parents. Because it's hard to have kids and not know how to take care of them. And we work a lot with the kids of the same type of programs. Substance issues, we do a little bit Mariposa. That's not our primary forte there. But at the same time, we're starting to work with Suboxone for the people that are addicted to the opioids and also with the heroin. That's going to
is a big issue right now.
That is a big issue. We're on the border. We see a lot of it. So it's great because we're able to provide that. We've done a lot of training. Our providers are ready to provide the service, and our pharmacy is ready to work. So it's another outlet for our community to provide that services. Now, there's other agencies that also provide that, and hopefully we'll all work together to provide the best care for the population that we have. At the same time, I also have a private practice. It's called Alliance Counseling Center, and in there I work as an independent counselor. We do.
And that's right there in that same plaza.
That's
right?
at the same plaza, right? It's close to Social Security office there, close to Walmart, easily access. And so most of the time there we provide services after hours. And the reason I started doing that is because a lot of kids were being removed from the school to come to the therapist. The kids are already having problems in school because they're ADD, ADHD, learning disabilities, what have you.
And
so taking out of school, that doesn't work. So, I pretty much work through about 8 o'clock at night, most nights, and to include Saturdays, we also provide services. There, it's unfortunately, we don't take access, but we do take insurance, and cash is great. That's what I always tell everybody. And sometimes, we end up doing pro bono. There are people that just need it, and so I carry 2 slots. If one slot opens up, then I can offer that service to somebody. And we're bilingual, so that's the other thing is that we're able to communicate with the family entirely.
Absolutely.
And again, the programs
is very important here.
It is to understand the culture, to understand the language, and to talk to the person in their own language is fantastic instead of using translations, which is kind of difficult.
Can I jump into something on that subject really quick? Culturally, here in along the border, I mean, mental health disorders are not very well accepted, or historically have not been very well accepted by family members. I even have my own negative experiences trying to explain my mental health to family members.
Right. They see it as, if I'm depressed, go see the counselor. I'm not crazy. No estoy loco. Yeah. So it's not, loquera is totally different. We're talking about schizophrenia, psychosis, those kind of things. But depression is something that we all go through. Anxiety, something that we all go through. Stress. Stress, this stress. And those are all the teachings that I do with the population to educate them as to what the types of illnesses they are. Because they are illnesses, but there's a cure for them, for most of them. Okay? There are some where you have the serotonin depletion, you're not producing enough, and that's going to be chronic depression for the rest of your life. But for the most part, everything is situational. We had a death in the family. I lost my house. I lost my job. I relocated. My family, my kids grew up and they left. We have a lot of elderly people that need support. That's one of the things that we're looking at to help that type of population. So there's a lot of need. And then we have another tier of population that we have the deportados. We have all these parents that are deported, the father or the mother, so the families come to Nogales. They don't know anyone. They don't know the system. They don't know the connections. They haven't been in Mexico for 20, 30 years. They don't know that area and where to go. So it's a lost population.
Of course.
And then, of course, we have the undocumented that were brought here and stay here, and they're locked between our border and the checkpoint.
No, actually, I've been told that a lot of the DACA, the Dreamers who got deported, they live in border communities so that their kids can still come to the United States, come for school. Have you had any of those situations?
No, I have not. I have not had that. Okay. So, but it's nice to hear that they're still there.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they're staying as close to the country because they don't. I mean, like you said, that they haven't been in Mexico for very long. A lot of people
for a long time.
Yeah, for a long time, and for the Dreamers especially. I mean, since they were babies, So let's jump into neurodiversity. You ready to talk about this?
Sure.
So, and this.
Why not?
Yeah, and I mean, this goes along with what we were talking about. I mean, culturally, the roadblocks that you hit here, and culturally, it's just not as accepted of a thing, and that's not just here; it's really all over. But how do you get through those roadblocks with family members?
Well, it's first of all, to explain it, and I'm fairly new to this area, okay, so I'm not the expert on, and I'll probably digress to you, the expert, but it's a belief system, okay, in that when we're growing up, we're wired, okay. We got the white matter, we have the gray matter. The white matter is what connects all your neurons to your vision, your movements, your balance, and hearing, and everything else. And so, as we're growing up, those connections get stronger and stronger and stronger. They're deep rooted into what we have, and so what the belief is on neurodiversity is that is not a disease. That is a wiring issue. Okay, so embrace it. Can we work with that? Can we change that? There's belief systems that we can change our thinking, that we can reroute our wiring systems. A person has an injury to the brain or even has a stroke, and those areas die. And I had the personal experience with my mom, who suffered 6 strokes in her before she passed, and lost all connections, but somehow was getting her balance again and her vision again.
Wow.
And
so those connections are being made again.
Correct. And neuroplasticity, that's what happens. One neuron becomes what another one used to be. And so there's still a lot of studying to be done and a lot more research to be done. But
even emotional trauma, speaking of PTSD, like we did, even emotional trauma can rewire the brain.
Of course.
And make those connections either reconnect to something else or completely disconnect altogether.
Yeah, there's a thing called ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experiences, and it's very direct questions, and it talks about experiences about abuse, sexual, physical, emotional. Did you have a parent that was imprisoned? That's an emotional impact too. Did you have somebody that was your mother being beaten up and you were there, or your father was beaten up and you were there? Did you have a death and family suicide, what have you? So all those are little things or big things depending on your resilience. And when you talk about PTSD or trauma, you have to also talk about resilience, and that's another nice big subject that you can get into. But getting back to neurodiversity it's a belief system. Is it a disease or is it just a wiring fault? Okay, because a lot of the things that they look at, if I'm correct, or correct me if I'm incorrect, is the ability to have access to outside of what you think, being able to communicate that to the outside world. Yeah. And when you're blocked, it's hard. My mom had Alzheimer's. She forgot words. She forgot what things were, how to make coffee. And she would look at me trying to communicate with me, and she just couldn't get it out. And it was difficult. Wow. Okay. You become stressed,
Yeah, absolutely. And
so
the anxiety takes over.
And one of the things with autism or any major debilitating disease, like Alzheimer's, it's the caregivers that get worn out, because you're trying to do everything for your family. Oh, yeah. And those are the people that need to be educated. Those are the people that need a help or that respite. And
Absolutely. So that's why we take advantage of respite for that reason, because it's very stressful, and we're thankful there's that opportunity.
Tell me about respite. I don't know what
respite is a program from the state where they offer to you, so you can go. They take care of your son or daughter while you go to the grocery store, run errands, things like that.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a breather.
Yeah.
It's not babysitting,
No.
but it's like a breather,
Yeah.
and and it helps a lot of families. Some families get like 10 hours a week, and it just depends.
Which every hour counts, I imagine, for sure.
Even 1 hour just makes a difference. It
I
really
bet.
does.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that I've struggled is, and this is actually when it comes to neurodiversity, is it's dismissed as something else. Especially in adolescence, it's dismissed as hormones or things like that with certain neurodiversity issues, and people don't want to call it what it really is. What can we explain? How can we explain to people, or get people to understand what's really going on?
By
Education.
Offering the supports directly to them, and breaking the cycle.
Breaking the cycle and breaking the stigma. The stigma that, even with me, I'm like explaining to. Well, I try not to explain to people. I just mean like, hey, I've got ADHD, and this is how my brain works. I can't even explain how my brain works. But my wife is one example of somebody who's struggled to understand my ADHD, and it's affected our relationship. But there's a lot of people that I've come across that don't really care to learn more, because they still have it in their mind that it's not really. It has nothing to do with connections. It's you're too lazy. You just need to relax. All kinds of different things. I'm sure that you've heard from a lot of times.
All the time.
Self-control.
I mean, and you've got ADHD, and you've got it's. You know how it is.
Look at my body. How am I holding myself? I'm blocking myself. I'm holding my arm.
Yeah, I noticed.
My leg.
Yeah.
I see people, I lock my leg against the desk, and I myself so I won't be all over the place.
Absolutely, me too.
Sometimes I'll be in therapy, and I'll be talking, and somebody says, "Oh yeah, something about Washington, Seattle, Washington." Oh, and then I go into a little tangent.
Oh,
Seattle, Washington.
And every conversation we ever have goes off on a tangent.
It does. It lasts too long.
But it's great. I love it.
We come out across. Okay,
yeah, it does. I love it because that's the way my brain works too. So it's just it works for the way that we talk.
Because when I was growing up in the 60s, I attended A.J. Mitchell, and they used to spank a lot, man.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, because they thought it was.
You still got the marks on your butt?
I still do. Well, according to them, it's behavior control. You're not controlling yourself. You're just being rude, and you're standing up. And I remember having to put my mouth to my hand to the mouth, just to prevent myself from saying anything, because I wanted to yell out the answer, 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
And so Frank, go to the corner, and Frank, go see the principal, and Frank this, So.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because in the course that we did today, we did this little Jeopardy thing, and I had such a hard time controlling myself answering the questions that other teams were supposed to answer, and because I couldn't control myself, we actually won. But yeah.
Impulse.
Yep, all that impulse control thing, for sure.
But ADHD can also be a windfall. Okay, you have a
absolutely.
lot of energy once you control your thought process of ability to be able to process. As people can probably notice right now, I speak very fast.
Yeah.
And then now that I'm conscious, now I'm going to slow down.
Yeah.
But once you control it, once you are able to bottle that energy, it's fantastic.
Oh yeah,
it is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, you can do things like write books.
Write books, stay up all night. Take more classwork than anybody else, or work longer hours, or even when you're playing sports. Defense,
Absolutely.
offense, and you just never tired.
Yeah, you can tell that the sports thing didn't take with me.
Didn't take.
No, I'm just kidding. I used to be in very good shape.
Yeah.
It was given I got married that I let go.
Oh, so it's his wife's fault.
Yeah.
It's his wife's fault. Yeah. So.
Well, it's cuando te casas con una mexicana, the food there is just too much.
Too much. Yeah. So, but what do we do about all this now?
That's the question.
Yeah.
That's the real question. What do you do about it? How do you educate?
Well, I'm lucky because I get to do it individually.
Yeah.
I do it family per family. It's been a while, but I normally do presentations on ADD, ADHD, behavior modification, depression, Alzheimer's, a lot of different subjects. And normally I ask the public, what do you want me to talk about? And somebody will say, can you come over and present about this? And I'll write up whatever I need to present for the needs. I like to go into the schools. I've been going into Head Start schools. I used to do that a lot in the past to educate the parents, because they don't understand. And again, getting back, we have a lot of people that are monolingual. They only speak Spanish. So when you go there and you do a presentation in English, it doesn't help them.
Yeah.
So
No,
the
of
good
course
thing
not.
is that we're able to do it in both languages. And so we're able to explain to the parents what they can do for their kids. How do you treat the kids? One example, okay, for parenting. A lot of people focus always on the negative, what the child is doing, and not focus on the positive. I know we hear that a lot, okay? Yeah. But actually doing it. Having a parent where you tell your kid, Johnny, take out the garbage, and Johnny rolls his eyes and makes noises like a pirate, or whatever, but he takes out the garbage.
Yeah.
He comes back in, and then the mom or the dad, don't you roll your eyes at me and make that noise from now on, you're going to be punished or whatever. Instead of going, hey, son, thanks. Yep. Great job. Love you.
Good job.
And you keep on reinforcement. After a while, no more eyes are rolling, no more pirate noises, but you're focusing on the positive.
You know what works for me?
What's
singing
that?
Really loud. Like the most random song. If I'm singing really, really loud and just kind of that's kind of how I quiet everything in my brain. I can get the dishes done. I can get the house cleaned. That's one of the things that helps. The other thing is having music on and a movie on at the same time.
That's not a distraction, right?
Yeah.
And the poor dogs are all howling outside and stuff like that from singing so loud.
It's a distraction for everybody else, but it works for me. Everybody else hates it. Like I used to tap a lot.
Yeah. Or hum.
Yeah, or hum.
I was so impressed, Joe. I was so impressed. I had a patient a few weeks back, and the patient, when I looked at that patient was doing everything I used to do as a kid.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Okay,
and it's like looking in the mirror.
And I was laughing, and
60 years ago,
the parents are looking at me like, "Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing?" Yeah. But it was because she reminded me so much, of me. Yeah. And that was interesting. But the intelligence is there.
Absolutely.
It's just how do we get it out? How do we control this to be able to get that out? Okay. And there's a lot of talk about foods, and it's true. There's a lot. That's
another thing I want to talk about is physical health and mental health. I mean, to combined. Well, let's talk about that. You want to get into that real quick?
Sure. Ask away. What do you want to know?
Well, you just mentioned foods for one thing, and the foods that you eat can affect.
Well, like for ADHD, there's certain foods, certain vitamins, certain minerals that you need. Okay, you might not be getting enough of those. So there's a listing of foods, and I provide that to the parents. It's about maybe 30 pages worth, and it talks about 7 different types of ADD. It talks about the ring of fire. It talks about the constant brain. It's got everything is delineated as to for this. This is what you do. These supplements. This type of food.
It's a really complicated thing. It's a lot more complicated than it looks.
Yeah, but the work's already been done.
Yeah.
And the practice makes it easier, and it becomes like a lifestyle.
Yeah.
We have to do with his
Well, one of the things for that's hard for me is because I'm the one with ADHD trying to maintain my lifestyle. It changes all the time.
There you go. So who's in charge?
Me, and that's the worst part.
Have somebody else in charge there to help you out. Yeah. So, we were talking about being married to a good Hispanic woman,
Oh, absolutely.
And look at the foods that we eat.
Yep.
Okay. There is what we could afford at the time, is that we're used to, and it's the same ingredients. It's a tortilla. It's the beef. It's the cheese. It's the salsa. Mm-hmm. You roll it up. It's a burrito. You deep fry it as a chimichanga. You fold it in half as a taco.
I know. Yeah. Let's go get some food right now after
this. So yeah, it has a lot to do how we feel, how it makes us feel. The other thing is that technology is also really hindering us.
Oh yeah.
The kids are no longer outside like they used to be. Now they're inside. Now they have the tablets. Physical activity, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
and it's true. I mean, that's something we've talked about before. Is my whenever I'm lacking in physical activity, my focus is it's harder for my brain to be calm. Yeah. And depression sets in too, and the anxiety, and it all just starts feeding off of each other, and it's bad. And I want to say that the foods that work for me that I don't need enough of are omega-3s and greens. Those ones work for me. Put them all together in a smoothie and blend them. It works good.
Or eat them naturally.
Yeah.
That's even better.
Absolutely.
So what can we change?
Well, that's the question, Frank. That's my question for you. What can we change?
Well, the parents need to change. Okay, in the aspect when I was growing up, go outside, they lock the door. You can't come back inside until lunchtime or 4:00 when everybody else is going home.
Parental locks on phones.
Yeah, parental locks. Or setting time limits.
Yeah,
that's very easy to do. very hard for the kids to accept initially.
Yeah, of
But
course.
once you get that started, then that's not a problem. Sign them up for activities. Have them do. You can do this, but you also have to do something else. Give them choices. Give them options.
That's actually one of the things that I started doing with my son, and he's he hasn't been diagnosed with anything, and I'm not sure he does have anything, but he spends way too much time on screens. So I told him that if he wants to spend an hour playing a video game, he's got to do a half hour of workout with me, and it's helped. It's worked. At first he said, "No, that's okay, and we don't have a choice."
No, I like it when we go into the mountains, or there's no reception.
Yeah.
We took a cruise a couple of years back, and there was no reception, no phone reception.
Oh man, that's gonna.
It
be
was
nice.
awesome.
Yeah,
It was fantastic.
I'm glued to my phone, but I hate it. Yeah.
No, that's what I like. We go camping. We go hunting. I go hunting with my cousins, and
And you never brought me any elk?
no, I don't bring anything.
Dude,
I don't bring anything. That's what my wife says. Are you sure you're hunting? But we stay out there 4 days, man, and it's fantastic. There's no TV. There's no telephone service, and it's great because it makes us more cognizant of what's around us, and
Absolutely.
the conversations start to come out, and we're talking about feelings or memories or what have you that we used to have as kids,
The smaller the world gets, the bigger it gets, huh?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my recommendation to parents is to look at what you're doing. Start eating dinner together at a table. Let's talk about conversations about routines. What are we doing? Get the kids out of the cave. Everybody has a television in the bedrooms. All the kids go to their thing. They're not even looking at TVs. It might be on, but they're looking at their phones. 11-year-old kids with cell phones. Smartphones. Is it too early? Do you actually let them keep it all night, or do you just let them play with it for an hour or explore it for an hour and set some limits? Parental blocks, very important.
Absolutely.
And the internet is not getting safer; it gets worse. So
Now, for a parent out there who maybe is actually suffers from some mental health stuff themselves, and has a child suffering from mental health that maybe they haven't even accepted it in themselves, how can you help them to not only deal with their own symptoms, but deal with their symptoms and their child's symptoms?
Well, the hard part is having the parent come in. Okay, they have to acknowledge that there is something. And normally it's going to be a relative that's going to be nudging them to telling them, you go see someone. And then when they initially come in, they have that defense mechanism that I am not crazy, no estoy loco. And because of that, they're not really wanting to participate, because then you're going to diagnose me with something, and now what? And depression, let's go back to depression. Depression is a symptom of something else. Something happened, okay?
Yeah.
When we look at treating anybody, we first have to look at what is the problem. Okay, I think we had a discussion on this that sometimes we're treating the symptoms and not the problem.
Yeah, we did
So
talk about that.
so we
Absolutely.
medicate you, we take away your pain, but we don't know what's causing your pain. Instead of finding what the pain is, what is the root? Traumatic events, PTSD, they entrench themselves into the way a child is going to think. I did a presentation, and it was on child development, bonding, and Erickson's stages of life, and it correlated when someone is not doing well, they don't have a secure bonding, they're having an anxious bonding, or in Erickson's stages, they don't get into that where I trust. Okay, those are major issues when you're growing up. Later on, it's going to affect on relationships. If your parent was not there for you, then you don't care. You weren't there for me anyway. Why should I even care? Why should I even acknowledge you? Sometimes we try to hug a child, and they leave me alone. They don't want to be hugged because they never had that before, and it becomes unusual. So there's a lot of things that we could do, but it all starts at the very birth. I on that training that I did, I kept on talking about we need to educate the young parents before they become parents.
Oh yeah.
In the schools we used to have those. Remember the health classes that
Oh yeah. I remember.
talked about babies and whatever. I don't know how profound they are right now, but I never hear anything from my daughters about anything.
I think most of those programs have been canceled and replaced by standardized testing.
Standardized testing. All right, so
a whole nother source of anxiety for kids.
Yes. And right now they're going through it right now.
Yep, this week.
Yeah. So yeah.
Easy merit.
Yep. So,
Absolutely. So, and then especially since we're such a small community, one of the things that people might be afraid of is, well, what's to keep him from going and telling his cousin or his sister about what they came and talked to about? People are afraid of the confidentiality.
Well, it is a small community. And so it's unfortunate. You're going to see someone walking into an office, or you walk into an office, you're going to see somebody else. Okay. Like when we do groups, we have a group of people for whatever reason it might be. And one of the things that we talk about initially is, listen, we're going to be sharing experiences, and it works best that whatever we say here stays here. Now you can take the idea of what we worked on with you, but it's not good to talk about. It's a small community.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at Mariposa, we actually do a lot of training on that. We talk about that. HIPAA is very important. So we don't want to violate anybody's confidentiality.
No, of course not.
So,
and I mean, certain people have their different level of comfort. I'm not ashamed. I want people to know because I'm trying to break a stigma, but some people aren't comfortable with sharing it yet. The other thing that is one of the things that you mentioned is people are afraid of being seen walked into the office. And so maybe they stop going. They go once, but it's not a one visit fixes all.
No. Some are more profound and they need additional, psychiatric evaluation.
Especially the ones that are very closed in. I mean, they need to, it's more than anything, I imagine it's that constant presence. I mean, just the comfort that needs to be built with the relationship.
Well, and that's the key point. Relationship was a key point. If I build a relationship with you, then you're going to have the trust. Then you're going to open up, okay? Yeah. You don't go into therapy and tell me everything that you did or happened to you. You have to build that trust. It's going to come out. First thing I'd ask a person is like, why did you decide to come in today? Right?
I know exactly what you're saying.
Another thing that gets the patients after they've been there a couple of times, and I ask, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing good. And my next question is why?
Yeah.
And they go like, why what? Why are you doing good? What changed from the last time? Yeah. And it's a process. It's a process. That way they're cognizant of what they're saying and putting together. The reason I felt good is because I exercise more. I'm no longer drinking. I'm no longer using drugs. My relationship has improved. My communication is doing well. And there's a whole array of reasons why they're doing good. Okay, now they can apply that to a different level, a different area. Now they're growing. Okay, the success is with people is to getting them to do something, finding what they do well, and once they do that well, just expanding on that process. Now, once they do that, they're going to learn and how to be self-reliant, to develop new coping skills, and to move forward. Unfortunately, as kids, we develop coping skills, and those coping skills, they used to work for us.
Yeah.
And now they don't,
Your life changes.
Your life changes. What does Einstein say? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different outcome.
Different result, yeah.
So military has a terminology, adapt, change.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they do that for a reason,
Yeah.
So... But there's a lot of just educate, and that's what I try to do a lot with the families that come to see me. And also, it's also important, like if you're dealing with a child, you can't just work with a child. It has to be the entire family. Because if you fix one and nothing has changed at home, then nothing has changed.
Yeah, family therapy is important.
It's very important,
Absolutely.
So it has to be all-inclusive.
So I got one more question for you before we wrap up, because we've been going for a while now. And that has to do with, and this is actually something that people have mentioned to me before, is that they're afraid to go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist or anybody because they're afraid that all they're going to do is give them medication.
No, I understand that fear, but not everything is medication. Okay, you have to have certain things going on with you to require medication.
Of course. Now,
if the person is very depressed and suicidal, because we have to do something about that, okay? Yeah. If somebody is actively suicidal and they're telling you, I'm going to kill myself, then, we call in the crisis team, or even we do a direct inpatient service through one of the agencies in Tucson. But most of the time what we try to do is to try to work with the patient is to find what the cause is, what's going on, how can we help, what can you do different? And we always, I try to work for a support network for that person. Who else knows about this? Who can you rely on? Who can you talk to? It's not all about medication. Like I said, medication it works well for some people, doesn't work well for other people. Some people are very hesitant to do that, but there are alternatives. When we have anxiety per se, anxiety is a thought. Okay, and it doesn't exist until we create it. It's like fear, And so I ask people, why are you afraid of the dark? Because it's dark. And what's going to happen? Well, I can't see. Can't see what? I don't know. Something could bite me. Like what?
And that's what their apprehension is.
Right.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
it's not real.
No.
Okay. With anxiety, it comes, there was a change. Okay. And you didn't cope with it well.
Yeah.
So you start worrying about it. And then we start ruminations. We think about it and think about it and think about it. So we're not sleeping well. So our brain is tired.
Oh, yeah.
So we get up.
Oh, yeah.
So it becomes a domino effect. Okay.
Yeah.
So then you start feeling anxious. You're not eating well, or you're eating too much, and it just grows on you.
Yeah.
But there's things that you can do. There's techniques that you can use. Okay. We had talked one time about what do you do about a panic attack?
Yeah.
And most people are going to tell you relax and breathe. That's not going to work.
It's horrible when somebody tells you
that is not
just
going to
relax.
work.
Yeah, just relax. It's like
Yeah.
what the.
Yeah. So I had a person that was actually going into a panic attack, and we had just started, and they're sitting down, and she's going, I don't know what to do. I said, stand up. And she stood up. I said, give me 25 jumping jacks. And what? I said, 25 jumping jacks.
Oh yeah, exercise works great.
Yeah.
For
So she
panic
started
attacks.
doing 25 jumping jacks. By the time she finished, she was breathing heavy. Okay. So she was breathing almost normal.
Yeah,
She was
bringing in
that oxygen into her system. Okay, a little bit tired, so now she was able to sit down and breathe and recuperate. And now we can start the process. Okay, and teaching them the reason this happened to you is because this, that, and the other. And what I do is I explain what anxiety is. I explain what a panic attack is, and then we give them immediately some tools that are no drugs, no medication, just tools that they can use to help themselves. Calming techniques. Exercise is free. If we all did some exercise, we'd all be a lot better,
Yeah,
and it goes back to riding bicycles, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, when we talked about healthy eating and we talked about exercise, well, tomorrow at the Mercado right here, there's going to be lots of healthy foods. And after the Mercado, go for a bike ride.
There you go.
There you go.
Win-win, huh?
Yeah, for sure. So you guys have anything to say to the community before we wrap this up?
Well, just to say, we have a great community. We have a lot of good leaders. We have a lot of good people that are well trained in what they do, and we need to utilize them more. We need to have a little bit more open forums as to what's available here. But I think, and I'm going to promise to the community that I'm going to start doing my presentations again. They're helpful. People like them. They got something out of it, and that's what we want to do: educate as much as we possibly can.
Awesome. Well, keep us updated on that so we can.
Yes, sir.
Let people
We'll
know.
bring it up and we'll advertise. So,
anything to say to the community?
Thank you for having us, and
No,
we're
thank
here
you.
as well for you as a resource to help the community through their process of autism and all associated diagnoses as well.
Thank you. Thank you guys very much. Really appreciate it. So we're going to be back next week. We're going to have Las Reinas del Mayo. We got Cinco de Mayo coming up in less than a month. And we're going to have on the show Las Reinas de Mayo. And the following week, the Santa Cruz County Cardinals. I've never seen them play, but I hear they're pretty good.
They're very good too.
Very, very good team. Awesome. Very cool. So we're going to have them on. That's over the next 2 weeks. And we'll see you then. Thank you guys so much for coming out.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry about the coffee.
that's all right. Next
All right. There you go. There
I'll
you
be
go.
back.
All right. No, thank you. Cropper's Nogales Auto Center, your local dealer of Chevy, Buick, and GMC. The best place to find the newest, award-winning Chevy, Buick, and GMC models. But there's more. Cropper's also provides professional certified service, parts, and a full-service body shop and collision center. Come on over and see for yourself everything Cropper's has to offer. Located at 1831 North Grand Avenue, Nogales, Arizona. www.croppercare.com, 520-762-6446.